Things in this country we haven't seen probably going all the way back to the 70s. People are beginning to protest, whether it's about taxes, government spending, or government programs. Joining us is Gerald Celente from Trends Research. Now, I want to get into your trend for 2012, Obamageddon, what that might look at. But before I do that, I want to go back and touch the issue about these revolts that we're starting to see. Last time I had you on the program, we were talking about the Tea Parties. And what I find absolutely amazing is anybody that now shows up at a town hall meeting where a senator or congressman is holding, and they voice some concerns about this Obamacare proposal. And we only have one out there right now. But as more people have read it, so if you show up and you question it, either one, you are an AstroTurf Republican or a follower of Rush Limbaugh. Now, I watched remarks coming from a Steny Hoyer town hall meeting where the guy kept yelling and Steny Hoyer was ignoring him, and he goes, "I'm a Democrat." So it's amazing how they talk down to all of a sudden people are expressing themselves, which is what you're supposed to do as a democracy, but it's almost like they're being talked down to.
We just went out to our subscribers. I just sent it to you this minute. The Second American Revolution has begun. The natives are restless. The third shot of the Second American Revolution has been fired. History is being made, but just as with the first two shots, the third shot is not being heard. America is seething. Not since the Civil War has anything like this happened, but the protests are either being intentionally downplayed or ignorantly misinterpreted. And then we go on, we say the first shot was the April 15th Tea Parties and tax protests. Shot number two was on the 4th of July when throngs of citizens across the nation again protested taxation without representation. And the third volley is now being fired with this health care. And so this is really very historical, and people don't see it for what it is.
You know, there was an article in the Wall Street Journal, and it pointed out to me, Gerald, how out of touch our Congress is today. And you remember how the executives at the major automobile companies and corporate executives were just taken to task for either one, flying in on a private jet, or going to some resort to hold a marketing meeting. Yet, we saw that the Department of Social Security rented out the Arizona Biltmore, and then last Friday, the Wall Street Journal talked about Congress ordering $550 million of Gulfstream jets for congressmen to fly around, and then they even mentioned that the hours spent overseas from 1995 to the present has gone from 500 days to 3,000 days. They listed, for example, John Boehner, the minority Republican, taking 5 Republicans and their wives on a 3-week fact-finding mission to Europe that he couldn't comment on because it was top secret.
As we said, we just sent out this trend alert, and the Second American Revolution has begun, and the media is missing it. The first 3 shots have been fired, and when you see what's different, by the way, about this revolution than, for instance, why the so-called Woodstock Revolution didn't take place in Hold, or the Vietnam Revolution, a number of factors, and some of them are that people are up against it right now, Jim. They're losing everything. They're losing their homes. They've lost their jobs. They've lost their pensions. They can see and smell a crook when they see and smell them, and the crooks are Washington and Wall Street. People aren't that stupid where we bail out banks and give them hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars, and then they skim off the top and give themselves bonuses after losing billions. So what this is really about is the people have had it. You know, there's these phrases that for some reason catch on and they stay in our consciousness. And from that movie Network, I've had it and I'm not going to take it anymore. The other reason why this is going to last and continue to build in momentum is because back in the 60s and the 70s, The baby boomers were kids. Now they're adults. And when you look at the people confronting their congressmen, they're not intimidated. They know who these people are. They know that they put on one shoe at a time. Don't give me your congressman, senator routine with me. And that's what's going on here. It's going to be let them eat cake movement in this country, and the responses are going to be off with their heads. This is very serious what's going on, and it's being missed in the media.
Now, in your Trends Journal, your summer issue for 2009, you got a History of the Future, Trends 2012, Obamageddon, Episode 4, but you said the Greatest Depression is on hold. Why is it on hold, and how long will it remain on hold?
Well, the reason it's on hold is because they come up with, and this is why nobody can predict the future. We always make that clear. There are too many wild cards. You could forecast trends, but you can't make predictions. Who or whom would have ever believed that the United States would have gone from the empire of entrepreneurial opportunity into a country that became too big to fail, where the money of the people was taken from them and directly deposited in the accounts of the largest banks and brokerage firms in the world and insurance companies. So what's going on now with all the stimulus programs, with all the bailouts, the buyouts, and rescue packages, is that the economy seems as though it's in recovery, but in reality, it's only in remission. And that these stimulus drugs and monetary medicine cannot cure the chronic degenerative economic disease that's rotting away at the really foundation of the nation's economy. So these are only temporary fixes. So the Greatest Depression is on hold for a little bit, but it's not going to be stalled. Just as, again, with these tax protests and tea parties and now health care reform is not going to be stopped. But this is very important to look out for. Let's go back to 2001 in the summer. George W. Bush's approval ratings were down where Obama's are now. And all of a sudden, the people rallied around the president after 9/11. What we're saying is that there is a probability, and whether or not a genuine crisis, a false flag attempt to derail the people's minds,